Discovered, Millionaire's autistic daughter unexpectedly sings, transforming lives forever. In the heart of a quiet suburban neighborhood in Ohio, a storm was brewing, but no one knew it yet. Young Emily, an 11-year-old girl with big dreams and even bigger hopes, often found herself drowning in the silence of her own world. With eyes as blue as the summer skies, she carried a spark as bright as any star, but most people overlooked her. Her father, Mark, a self-made millionaire, was too caught up in the whirlwind of numbers, profits, and prestige to notice how extraordinary his daughter was. As the world around her grew more chaotic, Emily retreated to the community center, a sanctuary where other children, much like her, sought solace. The walls echoed with laughter and chatter, but for Emily, they sang a different tune, the melody of her dreams. Oh, how she yearned to let her voice soar. But even as her shadow blended into the background, she hoped that one day, she'd shine. The neighborhood was reeling under the weight of an economic downturn, and Mark's empire began to wobble. Tension sizzled through their home like a live wire. Mark, burdened with the weight of his fading success, often missed the moments that truly mattered. Emily could feel the coldness growing, like a winter chill creeping into their lives. Her heart ached, not just for herself, but for her father, who had poured his soul into a world where worth was measured in dollars. Then came the annual talent show at the center, a chance for Emily to take a stand, to be seen, to be heard. Her heart raced at the thought, yet doubt loomed like a shadow. Still, deep down, an ember ignited. It was more than just a performance, it was her chance. As Emily dressed in her favorite blue dress, she felt both fear and excitement bubbling inside her like a shaken soda can. She knew the stakes were high, not just for her, but for the connection she craved with her father. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the curtains opened, Emily stepped onto the stage, her chest tight with anxiety. Then, she opened her mouth, and the world around her melted away. Her voice, raw and beautiful, swept through the audience, wrapping them in a blanket of emotion. It carried their silent hopes, their struggles, and their resilience like a warm embrace. Gasps erupted among the crowd, tears welled up in eyes, as they felt the ache and triumph of her melody. But backstage, Mark was grappling with his own pride. He overheard whispers, recordings, labels, and opportunities that could save not just his reputation, but perhaps transform Emily into a superstar. It was an unexpected spotlight on his daughter's talent, yet in those moments of awe, uncertainty stirred in Mark's heart. Would he embrace her for who she truly was, or would he seek to mold her into a trophy that might salvage their crumbling facade? As Emily's voice resonated through the community, it became a symbol of hope, igniting a spark in everyone's hearts. Yet she stood at the precipice, yearning for her father's approval, battling the realization that his love felt tied to success. What if her extraordinary gift wasn't enough to break through that wall separating them? As the final notes echoed in the auditorium, Emily knew her journey was just beginning, leaving everyone on edge about the choice Mark would make between his expectations or the unconditional love for his daughter. Would they find a way back to each other, or would the weight of the world hold them apart? Emily stood still, the applause enveloping her like a warm blanket. For a moment, she felt invincible. The weight of the world lifted, replaced by the overwhelming love that flowed from the audience. And yet, even as the cheers cascaded from every corner of the room, a small part of her remained afraid. Would this be enough? Mark watched the scene unfold, his heart torn in two. Pride surged through him, battling with a fear that gripped him tightly. He could see the awe in the faces around him, the glistening eyes, the smiles. This was more than he could have imagined for Emily. But the realization that he might now have to fight for her, not just win accolades, but truly see her, rattled him. As Emily stepped off the stage, her cheeks flushed with both embarrassment and exhilaration, she searched the crowd for her father's face. He had been there all along, yet it felt like he always stood just out of reach. Would this performance change everything? Or would he return to the coldness that had come to define their relationship? "Emily, you were incredible." A voice broke through her thoughts. It was her music teacher, Miss Johnson, approaching with excitement practically radiating from her. "You made them feel something amazing. Do you realize what you've done today? This is just the beginning for you." Emily smiled, feeling a rush of warmth from Ms. Johnson's kindness. But her heart sank slightly. "Thank you, Miss Johnson. But what if I'm really just not that good? What if Daddy doesn't like it?" "Sweetheart, your father might surprise you. Don't forget that people can change too, especially when they see something beautiful and pure like your voice. You have to believe in yourself." With a nod, Emily took a deep breath and tried to hold tightly to that flicker of hope. But as she looked around, her gaze was still drawn to Mark. He was talking to some of the judges, now eyes bright, hand gestures animated. It felt surreal, watching him be the charismatic businessman in a room filled with buzzing excitement. She hoped he recognized the beautiful moment that would forever change their lives. When Mark finally turned around and locked eyes with Emily, she felt a flicker of hope again. But she quickly masked it with uncertainty. As he guided himself through the crowd, the moment stretched painfully. Why did this feel like a lifetime? "Dad," she called, her voice initiating the moment she had longed for. The applause had faded, and suddenly, the room felt smaller, the air thick with anticipation. Mark's gaze softened, and for just a heartbeat, he was her father again, not the reluctant businessman. Emily stepped forward, the connection sparking in the electric void between them. "I sang, Dad. Did you hear me?" "Yes, I did," he replied, a hint of awe mixed with a struggle flashing in his eyes. "You were amazing, Em." But as the connection flickered, something unspoken loomed around them. The weight of Mark's battle with his own expectations thickened the air. "I overheard people want to work with you," he murmured, closing the distance slightly. "We could make this a real opportunity for both of us." Emily's heart raced, hopes soaring higher. But would that opportunity mean they would drift further apart, or could it pull them closer together? Her excitement curdled at the thought. She took a deep breath, drawing strength from within. "I want you to be proud of me, Dad, but I don't want to be just a way to save your business," she pleaded, the weight of honesty flooding her voice. Mark's expression shifted, the flicker of realization crossing over his face. "Emily," he hesitated, battling internal demons. Would he understand her needs? Could he accept her as who she was, not just what she could bring to the table? As the crowd began to disperse, Emily felt the chasm both wide and perilously close, each moment stretching unbearably. But in that electric silence, one thing was certain. The choices they would make next would shape not only their futures, but their very relationship. Would they stand together or remain in the shadows of their expectations? As they stood staring at each other, hearts pounding, the decision hung in the air waiting to be voiced. Emily's breath quickened. Would her moment finally arrive? The silence cracked like glass as Emily took a step back, her heart thumping in her chest. She didn't know what to say. There was so much riding on this moment, on this revelation. It was a vulnerability she hadn't intended to expose, but the weight of truth sat heavy between them. Mark's eyes darted around, as if searching for an escape. He was caught in a whirlwind of emotions. The applause still rang faintly in his ears. The dreams that had once seemed so distant now felt overwhelmingly close. But at what cost? Would he risk their already fragile bond for a chance at restoring his business? Emily, his voice trailed off, caught in the tension. He looked up and their eyes met again. "I never meant for you to feel that way. But that is how it is, Dad," she said, the emotions swirling inside her, desperate to be heard. "I felt like a pawn in your game. Today, I just wanted to be me, not someone else's ticket to success." The truth hung in the air, palpable and raw. Mark's expression shifted as he processed her words, the facade of the businessman cracking just a bit more. His shoulders slumped, the fight retreating, replaced by a look of understanding that he hadn't shown in years. Emily, he started, searching for the right words, his voice trembling. I don't want to lose you. I don't want our dreams to compete, but I'm scared. I've put everything into this business. I thought she cut him off gently. I know, Dad. But when did your dreams become the only ones that matter? I want to sing because it's who I am. I want to make you proud, but not like this. In that moment, a flicker of hope ignited in both their eyes. Could this be the beginning of something new? The chance to redefine not only their future, but the meaning of their relationship as father and daughter. Mark took a breath, the tension easing slightly. Maybe it's time for me to listen. To see you, really see you, Emily. Then let us do it together. She urged, her heart racing at the possibility. She took a step forward, closing the gap that had felt insurmountable. The crowd began to thin as friends and family milled about, joy plastered on their faces. But for Emily and Mark, everything faded into the background. All that mattered was the two of them standing there, attempting to step into uncharted territory. I want to help you get where you want to be, he said, his voice softening. We can work on this together as a team. Emily's heart soared. Really? He nodded earnestly, a warmth lighting up his features. Absolutely. No strings attached. Just you and your talent. Let us figure out how to make this work. I'll be right here beside you, I promise. Her breath caught, a wave of relief washing over her. Was this what she had been hoping for all along? The possibility of truly being seen by her father beyond the business and the expectations? But as the moment stretched, a new wave of uncertainty swept over her. What did this mean for her dreams? For his business? It could be a beautiful partnership, but it could also shatter the fragile peace they had just begun to build. I just need time, Dad, she murmured, a hint of worry in her voice. Are you ready for that? Mark's expression grew serious. It won't be easy. But if we work at it, we can do this. I want to be here for you, Em. Emily nodded slowly, hope blooming anew. Yet as she looked at him, she felt a sliver of doubt. What if the world outside their little bubble saw it differently? What if he struggled to balance the business with supporting her singing career? The room felt bigger then, filled with unknowns and challenges lurking beneath the surface. They had taken a step toward healing, but could they both hold on as they ventured deeper? As the last of the audience filtered out, Emily turned to Mark, ready to embrace whatever came next. Was she really prepared for the journey that lay before them? The choices they had just begun to navigate promised to change everything. Would Emily's dreams flourish in the light of their new understanding, or were hidden fears and truths still waiting in the shadows to pull them apart? Emily watched as the last of the familiar faces disappeared through the entrance, leaving only the echo of their laughter behind. The air felt thick, charged with possibilities, yet heavy with unspoken fears. Her heart raced in anticipation, but anxiety clung to her like a shadow. It was a new beginning, yet the path ahead was shrouded in uncertainty. Dad, she said, breaking the silence that had enveloped them. Can we talk about what this means? Mark's gaze turned earnest, his brow furrowing slightly as if trying to decipher the new roadmap they were charting. Of course. I think the first step is for us to lay everything out what we both want, what we're willing to sacrifice. It's more than just the music for me. It's about being authentic, Emily replied, her voice steady despite the tremor of excitement within. If I'm going to do this, I need to feel that you support me. Not just as a business venture, you need to see the person I am. Her father nodded, and Emily noticed a flicker of pride in his eyes. It was a good sign, but also terrifying. What if his pride turned into pressure again? I can already see the strength in your talent, he said. But I also know how cutthroat this industry can be. I can't lie, I'll have my own stakes to protect in this. She took a deep breath, aware of how true his words were. I don't want to be a pawn in your game anymore. I'll not be anything less than myself, even if that means stepping away from the business side sometimes. Mark took this in, and for a moment, he was quiet. Then he leaned forward, resting his elbows on his knees, vulnerability painted across his face. What if we give this a timeline? A year to explore your music together. I can help guide you, but at the end of the day, it needs to come from you. Emily smiled, the idea igniting a burst of enthusiasm. A year? That sounds perfect. Time to grow, to fail and succeed on my own terms. Exactly. There was a newfound lightness in Mark's tone. We could start by booking some local gigs, getting you comfortable in front of an audience. But we can't rush it, Emily added quickly. If this becomes too rigid, it could backfire. Mark chuckled lightly, nodding. Fair point. Flexibility it is. We'll navigate this together in a way that feels right. Feeling buoyed by the exchange, Emily leaned back. The uncertainty dimmed as excitement surged. But still, there was a lingering thought in the back of her mind. What about the expectations of those around them? She could hear the opinions swirling. What will people think of Mark's daughter making music instead of managing the family business? Are you okay? Mark asked, concern etching his features once again. I will be, she replied softly. I just need to be sure we can manage both worlds. Yours and mine. The connection felt stronger than ever, but Emily couldn't shake the feeling that they hadn't yet addressed the elephant in the room. What if the business succeeded with her music, but in doing so, they ended up sacrificing something greater each other? As if reading her mind, Mark reached over and squeezed her hand. We're in this together. I promise we'll find balance, and I aim to keep our family first always. As warmth spread through her, Emily felt the stir of hope blossom anew. Yet another question loomed. The path might be lined with gold, but were they strong enough to withstand the pressures that came with success? And deep down, a daunting reality remained. If they failed, would it tear them apart, or would it only deepen their bond? Let us just take it step by step, Mark said, breaking her thoughts. We'll build something nice, I know we will. And as they sat there, the silence settled into a comfortable rhythm. Emily dared to believe that maybe, just maybe, this time it could be different. But somewhere in her heart, doubt still whispered. What challenges awaited them outside this moment of peace? Unbeknownst to them, the world was watching, and the stakes were far higher than they imagined. Was she ready for what was to come? As her thoughts raced, Emily couldn't shake the feeling that the journey ahead would test more than just their commitment to each other. It would demand everything she had to give. The days turned into weeks, and Emily found herself in a whirlwind of planning and practice. They used her family's small office as a studio. An old piano occupied one corner, and a wall of faded photos of past family gatherings loomed above it. Emily spent countless hours at that piano, pouring her heart into a blend of melodies and lyrics that felt like fragments of her very soul. Mark was her greatest ally, his encouragement fueling her creativity. Yet, as they navigated this new chapter, moments of doubt crept in. They attended local gigs, where Emily would nervously step onto smaller stages. The cheers and applause felt intoxicating, but the whispers always lingered in the back of her mind. What are they really thinking? She would wonder. Would they see her as more than just the rich girl who dabbled in music? One Saturday night, she took a deep breath before an open mic night at a local cafe, a quaint spot buzzing with energy. The walls were adorned with colorful artwork, and the scent of fresh coffee hung in the air. As she sat with her guitar, she noticed all the familiar faces among the crowd: friends, her father, but most importantly, strangers who were simply there for the music. With a gentle nudge from her dad, she stood to perform, her heart pounding rhythmically in her chest. The spotlight warmed her skin, grounding her even as nerves danced in her stomach. This one is called Breaking Free, she announced, her voice steadying her racing thoughts. As her fingers glided over the strings, the melody echoed like a heartbeat. Each word she sang released the weight she had been carrying: the expectations, the fear, the need for acceptance. The raw emotion wrapped around her voice, filling the room. Emily poured everything into that performance, feeling the music wrap around her like a comforting embrace. When the last note faded, silence lingered for a moment, and then applause erupted. It washed over her like a warm wave. Her eyes found her father's, where he stood beaming with pride. For the first time, she felt a sense of liberation. It wasn't just about recognition, it was about sharing her truth. Yet, As she stepped off the stage, she overheard snippets of conversation that made the euphoria waver. A couple murmured about being a millionaire's daughter, the assumptions hanging heavily in the air. Her heart sank a notch. Had she truly broken free, or was she still bound by the image others placed upon her? Mark noticed her expression shift as she stepped away from the crowd. "You were incredible. Truly," he exclaimed, his enthusiasm unwavering. "I know what I sang," Emily replied, her voice quieter than before. "But do they really care? Or am I still just that girl?" Her father paused, searching her face for understanding. "You're so much more than a label. What matters is how you feel when you're up there. Each time you sing, it's your story you're sharing," he encouraged, squeezing her shoulder gently. Still, doubt clung like a stubborn fog. A little girl approached her, eyes wide with admiration. "Can I take a picture with you?" she asked, and just like that, Emily felt a flicker of hope spark inside her again. "Of course. I'd love that," she replied, kneeling to meet the girl's gaze. As they posed, Emily realized there were people out there whose lives she could touch, even if it was just one melody at a time. It wasn't all about the whispers. Sometimes it was about the moments that reminded her why she started this journey in the first place. That night, as the stars sparkled brightly above, Emily sat on her bed, reflecting on her performance. She couldn't ignore the doubts, but they began to feel less all-consuming. "Tomorrow," she thought, "I'll write something new. Something just for me." Just as she pulled out her notebook, Mark knocked on her door, pausing at the entrance. "Hey, I got an idea I want to share with you. I think it could really take your music to the next level." Curiosity piqued, Emily smiled, her heart quickening. "What is it?" As her father stepped inside, she couldn't shake the feeling that another turning point lay ahead. Would this be a chance to rise above the noise and truly claim her voice? The excitement of an unknown opportunity filled the air, and she felt, once again, ready to embrace whatever came next. What could this idea be, and would it change everything for her journey? Mark leaned against the doorframe, a spark of excitement lighting up his face. "What if we take your music to social media? Like, really put it out there?" His enthusiasm was contagious, and Emily felt a rush of adrenaline. "You mean like, share my performances online?" She could hardly believe the thought. It danced tantalizingly at the edges of her mind. "Exactly. You've got this unique voice, and you're so relatable. People could connect with your story. We could create a channel, post your songs, even share snippets of your process. It could be amazing." Emily could see the possibilities swirling around her like confetti. "But what if they don't like it? What if I'm just seen as the rich girl trying to get attention?" Her father interjected, "Emily, focus on the music. If you're authentic, if you stay true to yourself, you'll find your audience. It won't matter what labels others put on you." Mark's eyes sparkled with determination. "Yeah, you've already proven you can make an impact with your music live. Think about how many more lives you could touch online. There's no limit." The thought filled her with excitement. But then the doubts came rushing back, more relentless than ever. What if no one cared? What if she was just a passing trend, something for people to look at and then forget? Yet, a small voice countered that fear. "Remember that little girl? The awe in her eyes?" "I could give it a try," Emily said, her voice catching slightly with a mix of anxiety and thrill. "But I'll need your help with everything. I'm not tech-savvy. Count me in." Mark grinned. "We'll make a schedule, plan out what to film first, and brainstorm ideas. You're going to shine." The next few days became a flurry of activity. After school, they spent hours drafting plans, setting up an account, and figuring out what songs Emily would cover. They created a list of original pieces that would showcase both her talent and her journey. As they rehearsed, creating content felt like breathing. Mark recorded her practice sessions, offering feedback that felt gentle and uplifting. Each time she sang, it was like shedding another layer of doubt. However, the moment of truth loomed: the first upload. Emily paced her room, her palms sweaty and her heart racing. Would anyone watch? Would they even care enough to hear what she had to say? Mark noticed her unease and stepped closer. "Hey, just remember, you're sharing your story. That's the most important thing." You're not alone in this. With a deep breath, Emily clicked upload. The next few moments felt like an eternity, eyes glued to the screen as it began to process. They waited, and just like that, views began to climb. Comments started pouring in. Wow, you're amazing! This song spoke to me. Can't wait for more. Her heart soared. Yet, amid the praises, Emily still felt that shadow of doubt creeping in. Just as she was exploring the comments, one caught her eye, a harsh word, a jab at her privilege. Easy for her to sing like a pro. Must be nice to have money to throw at hobbies. Her excitement dimmed, but Mark was quick to intervene. Don't let one comment define you. Focus on the ones that lift you up. Your journey matters, and it's just beginning. Emily wrestled with her feelings. Was this vulnerability worth it if it meant facing criticism? But she thought of that little girl's face from the cafe, the way music had brought them together, shared moments that felt real. That night, she sat at the piano, her fingers dancing over the keys, the soft melody swirling in the air. It was a new song, something raw and real reflecting her journey. She felt her heartbeat steadied by the music, a reminder that she was more than any label. A single notification blinked on her phone, another comment. This one a plea. Please keep singing. Your voice gives me hope. And in that moment, Emily understood. Her music had purpose. But as she closed her eyes and let the melody take her away once more, she felt an inkling of a question on the wind. Would this newfound journey reshape not just her but those around her? And what highs and lows awaited as her voice continued to rise in a world that seemed both vast and daunting? The morning light filtered softly through the curtains, catching the dust motes swirling in the air. Emily blinked awake, her heart still racing with the memory of last night's uploads. The surge of likes and shares felt surreal. Each notification was a heartbeat, a reminder that her voice was being heard, but that one harsh comment still lingered in her mind. As she got ready for school, the world felt different. She glanced at her phone constantly, half expecting another message that would either lift her spirits or tear them down. The butterflies roiling in her stomach didn't help. When she met Mark at their usual spot by the lockers, he was practically vibrating with excitement. Did you see? Over 1,000 views. His eyes sparkled brighter than the sun. And the comments, people are really loving your stuff. Emily smiled, caught between pride and trepidation. Yeah, but what if they stop watching? What if I'm just a fad? Then you'll just keep making music. Mark laughed, nudging her shoulder gently. But I doubt that. You've got something special, Em. Just keep being yourself. They spent lunch discussing their next upload, brainstorming ideas that could show more of her personality. Emily felt the excitement swell within her again, but doubt clawed at her thoughts. What if they discovered the real her and didn't like it? That night, as she sat at her piano, fingers gliding over familiar keys, a question hung in the air. What did she want to express? She began to write lyrics, pouring her insecurities and hopes into a new song. It became a cathartic release, the tones rich and layered. Once she finished, Emily felt the tension in her chest ease. Maybe that was the key, sharing her vulnerabilities along with her music, making it genuine. She decided to record a short video of herself singing the new piece, opening up about her fears and aspirations. Later, after Mark helped her edit the video, she hesitated. What if this is too personal? Mark leaned back, his eyes steady. Authenticity is powerful, Emily. People love when you're real. It's what makes them connect with you. Emily took another breath, her pulse racing. She clicked upload again, the familiar mix of dread and hope flooding her system. As the views began to climb, she quickly lost herself in the growing tide of comments. This is so relatable. I feel the same way. Your voice made me cry. Yet, lurking beneath it all was that one unsettling comment, still echoing in her mind. The confidence she garnered faltered. Then came the unexpected flood of support. One comment captured her attention: your story matters. Please keep sharing. It reverberated through her, pulling her heartstrings and igniting something deeper within her. Each day following, her following grew. She even started recognizing usernames of frequent commenters. A small community formed. They began to share their stories, forging connections through her music. For the first time, Emily felt like she belonged, not just to the music but to something grander. She was influencing lives, filling a void she hadn't even realized existed, but every ascent comes with its challenges. One evening, as she prepared to share yet another song, the familiar sting of doubt crept back in. What if success turned sour? What if they saw her as a fraud? She found herself staring into the mirror, searching for answers that eluded her. She had come this far. Was she willing to let fear silence her again? As thoughts raced, a message popped up on her phone from someone named Michelle. "Your music saved my life. I was at my lowest point until I found your songs. Please don't stop." Emily felt tears prick at her eyes. The power of her music was becoming undeniably clear. With a wave of determination, she leaned closer to the piano. This wasn't just about her anymore. With each note she played, she felt empowered. What journey lay ahead as she opened her heart even more? And then she remembered the shadow of that single hurtful comment. Would she muster the strength to rise above it, to hold on to her truth? As she closed her eyes, a new song began to emerge, one that spoke of resilience. What would the next upload bring? Would it be the moment she finally found her true voice, or one where doubt threatened to drown out everything she stood for? Emily sat at her piano, the soft glow of the lamp illuminating the sheets of music scattered around. The air felt charged with anticipation. Her fingers rested lightly over the keys as if waiting for magic to unfold. She took a deep breath, the events of the last few days swirling in her mind. The messages, the stories, the lives she had touched, all of them pushed her towards something she had barely begun to grasp. With each note she played, she bared more of her soul. Her new song flowed freely, a raw blend of ups and downs, hopes and fears. It was a love letter addressed to herself, a nod to the journey she was embarking on. She remembered Mark's encouraging words, echoing in her mind like a mantra. Just keep being yourself. As she composed, a text notification broke through her concentration. It was from Michelle again. "You have a gift." It read, "Your music helps me when I feel lost. Please know you're never alone." The warmth seeped into Emily's heart, wrapping around her like a cozy blanket on a chilly night. Maybe she wasn't alone in her struggle after all. Feeling buoyed by Michelle's words, Emily captured her emotions in a recording. She poured every ounce of doubt, joy, and vulnerability into the mix. When she hit finalize, she paused, a flicker of apprehension creeping in. Was she brave enough to share this new piece? What if people didn't understand it? She recalled that one negative comment buried in a sea of positivity. The sting lingered. But so did the light, the encouragement from her growing community. She took another breath and clicked upload, watching the progress bar drain slowly across the screen. She had done it. Again, the views started accumulating faster than before. Each beep of new notifications sent waves of adrenaline through her body. The first few comments were heartwarming. "As expected, this is incredible. You're so strong. Keep going." But then, the unexpected happened. One comment stood out from the rest, not for its negativity, but for its power. "You're one in a million. Don't let them silence you." Emily's breath caught in her throat. It was a reminder, a gift of courage from a stranger. She wasn't just sharing songs. She was weaving invisible threads that connected her with others, binding hearts together in harmony. With every vulnerable note, she was building this fragile, yet fierce community of support. Days turned into weeks, and Emily went deeper into her journey. She started collaborating with friends, attempting to diversify her music styles. There was an electric thrill in sharing new sounds, blending genres, and inviting the essence of others into her craft. One evening, she and Mark decided to cover one of her favorite songs, a mashup that combined their strengths. The laughter that filled the air as they practiced felt like freedom, but as the uploads increased, so did the pressure. Would they still connect if her sound changed? What if her next piece felt too far from her roots? The doubts returned, whispering like ghosts in her ear. She sought solace at the piano again, but this time, instead of despair, her fingers began to tingle with determination. Your discomfort is your own growth, she whispered to herself, taking solace in the notion that vulnerability was her greatest asset. It didn't matter if she failed to impress everyone. What mattered was the sincerity behind each song. Then, unexpectedly, she received a message from someone with her name. Emily, you don't know me, but I'm a huge fan. I have autism like my brother, and you inspire both of us. Can I ask a huge favor? Her heartbeat raced. She sensed the weight of responsibility in the air. She realized that her music was now intertwined with other lives, forging paths she never anticipated. Was she really prepared for this responsibility? Did she have the courage to step fully into a spotlight that was growing brighter, even as shadows lurked? In that moment, she resolved to welcome this challenge, to honor the connection she had built and see where it led. With renewed determination, she opened her piano. What would be the next step in her journey? Would she find the strength to take on this new challenge, or would the weight of it push her back into doubt? The answer awaited just a heartbeat away. Emily sat for a moment, her breath steadying as she stared at the keys. The piano had always been her haven, a place where notes danced and expressed feelings too deep for words. But now it felt different. It was no longer just her escape, it was a lifeline connecting her to others. She felt that weight of responsibility again. The message lingered in her mind. Could she really make a difference? With steely resolve, Emily began to play. This time, her fingers flowed without hesitation, letting the music spill from her heart. A new melody emerged, soft yet powerful, like the dawn breaking after a long night. She envisioned the faces of those who listened. Their struggles, their joys, they layered themselves into the song, creating something she hoped could resonate with them all. As the last note faded, Emily took a deep breath. She wasn't just a musician, she was their voice too. The thought sent shivers down her spine. She quickly grabbed her phone and typed a reply to the fan. Of course. What would you like me to do? She hit send before she could second-guess herself. The response was almost immediate. Can you write a song about understanding and acceptance? Something that can help others like my brother feel seen? A wave of emotions washed over Emily. The request felt heavy yet liberating, like standing on the edge of a cliff, ready to leap into the unknown. Could she really touch people's hearts with her music? She spent the evening immersed in her thoughts, scribbling ideas that poured out like a waterfall. Each lyric carried weight, each word was measured, crafted with care. She wanted those who heard it to feel comfort, to know they were not alone. The clock ticked away unnoticed as the room filled with the sound of her voice intertwining with the keys, notes dancing like butterflies in an endless summer sky. Days passed, and the song started to take shape. Emily found herself in a comfortable rhythm, transforming her emotions into melodies. The spark of creativity ignited her spirit, and with each line, she felt lighter. It was as if each note carried away the shadows of doubt that had clouded her mind. She shared snippets with Mark, who was her ever-enthusiastic collaborator. His eyes sparkled with excitement as he heard her work, encouraging her every step of the way. This is it, Em. Just keep pouring your heart out. But just when Emily thought she had a handle on her creative process, self-doubt crept in once more. What if the song didn't resonate? What if she failed to create something meaningful? The question spiraled in her mind, knotting her stomach in tight knots. One night, in a fragile state of uncertainty, Emily doubted if she could go through with the project. But a thought struck her. She remembered the faces behind the messages. It wasn't just about her anymore. It was about a shared narrative, a collective experience. Determined to break free from her doubts, she decided to test the waters. That evening, while sitting at her piano, she arranged a live stream, announcing that she would share an unfinished version of the song. The minutes ticked by as she waited for the session to start. She felt her heart race. What if they didn't connect? What if she fell flat on her face? But deep down, she felt the familiar spark of excitement, the kind that reminded her why she started this journey in the first place. With one last deep breath, she pressed the button to go live. The screen flickered as she saw a growing audience waiting with anticipation. Hey, everyone, she greeted. I've been working on something special. As she began to play, she felt the weight of the moment. Would this be the turning point for them all? And then, as her voice filled the room, Emily realized she had taken yet another leap into the unknown. But what she didn't expect was the immediate reaction from her audience, a surge of comments flooding the chat. What would they say? As Emily finished her song, she felt a wave of vulnerability wash over her, mixed with exhilaration. Each note lingered in the air like a sweet perfume, and she held her breath as the last chord echoed through the live stream. Silence reigned for a heartbeat, a fragile moment when time felt suspended. Then, like a dam breaking, the comments began to pour in. "This is beautiful. I felt every word. You gave me chills." Eyes glistening with unshed tears, she couldn't contain the smile spreading across her face. The sweet taste of acceptance filled her heart as the realization struck people were truly connecting with her. "Thank you so much," she managed to say, fighting back the overwhelming emotion. "This song is for anyone who feels unseen or misunderstood. We're all in this together." The chat exploded with support, messages of shared experiences and gratitude flooding her screen. In that moment, something clicked for Emily. The weight of her insecurities started to lift, replaced by purpose. She could be a voice for those who felt different, misunderstood just like her. And as she read the heartfelt messages, she felt her father's presence beside her, a comforting reminder that they had embarked on this journey together. Backstage, Mark watched his daughter bloom before their audience. He had envisioned her talent shining, but he never anticipated how vibrant her spirit would grow as she poured her heart into her music. His eyes were misty with pride, and he knew, without a doubt, they were carving their own path, not just as family, but as a united force. As the stream wrapped up, Emily felt the adrenaline still coursing through her veins. "I'll be posting this song on my channel soon," she announced. "And to the person who requested it, your brother is seen and loved. Thank you for trusting me." The emotion in her voice grated against all her previous hesitations, stripping away the layers she had built for protection. Soon, the screen filled with applause emojis and love hearts, and her heart swelled with a warmth that chased away the doubts lurking in the shadows. "Did you see that?" she exclaimed, her voice bubbling with excitement. "They liked it. They really liked it." Mark nodded, beaming at her. "You're amazing, Em. Your light shines brighter than ever. Now, how do you feel about this?" "It's a big step." "I feel free," she replied, her eyes sparkling. "This means the world to me. I want to keep doing this. It's not about the fame or the money. It's about connecting with people." His heart swelled again. This was the daughter he always wanted to know, the artist strong enough to voice her vulnerability. "Then let us make it a regular thing, all right? Weekly live sessions?" Emily jumped up, clapping her hands together. "Yes, I'd love that." As they celebrated this new direction, the atmosphere shifted. They were no longer tethered to the shadows of expectation and fear, but stepping into the light of potential. It was a transformative moment, one filled with dreams, possibilities, and the promise of adventure. In the weeks to come, as Emily continued to share her music and stories, her audience grew. Fans resonated with her authenticity. They felt understood through her songs. And through those connections, Emily began to realize real success is not measured by the numbers, but by the hearts she touched. One evening, while sitting at the piano, she glanced at her view counts and comments, all of which surprised her. But through it all, her father's voice echoed in her mind, "Stay true to yourself." As she mulled over her next steps, she felt grateful for every moment, the challenges, the fears, and the triumphs. Her voice had found a place in the world, transforming from whispered dreams to a roaring anthem of connection. "Dad," she called out, her voice brightening the room. "What if we start a community song where everyone can contribute lines? It could be a celebration of all our voices." Mark looked over from the doorway, a proud smile gracing his face. "That sounds incredible. We're building something special here." And that's exactly what they did. Together, they launched the project, one that invited participation from both fans and friends, creating a tapestry of stories through the power of music. The melody formed a bridge between Emily and her audience, one where they shared laughter, tears, and every emotion in between. Gone were the whispers of doubt. This was their song, their journey, and it would resonate far and wide. As Emily prepared for the live stream, a new sense of purpose stirred within her. With her father's unwavering support and her budding community surrounding her, she knew they could face anything together. And with each new song shared, they embraced not only the joy of music, but also the strength of family and friendship. This was her moment. It was time to shine. Now, to all of you watching, Emily's journey is just unfolding, and you cheered her on every step of the way. You need to subscribe now to catch every exclusive story as it blossoms. Leave a like now to fuel the magic of true connection and help this story soar. Comment below with your thoughts and feelings. We want to hear your reactions to this thrilling conclusion. And don't wait not even one more second. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this transformation. This is the moment to show your support for our community and be part of this incredible journey.